Hey, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
Morning, David. Ready?
Start with the COVID update, just as far as who's available, if anyone else went on the list, where you stand there.
We only have one person out. It's our tight end coach, and actually I think he's testing today, so he may be back today, or maybe as early today, or maybe tomorrow. So other than that, we're 100%.
Also, from the conditioning test you did on these guys coming back, are they all at a pretty good conditioning level, or did it hit a few of the players a little harder than the others, just in general, where you stand there?
Well, I think that's something that we'll go through today and tomorrow. And that's something that we discussed in our medical meeting this morning. So, we have the reps laid out accordingly. So, I don't have a percentage for you, but we're definitely cognizant of it.
Just to be clear, so Micah and Tyron, everybody that was out last week with COVID are back for practice today?
Correct. The only one that may not be there is J-Ron.
Okay, J-Ron. Well, we've talked so much about Micah's ability to run sideline to sideline and rush the passer. Can you talk about the physicality he plays with and how important that will be in a game like this weekend?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you just watch both teams play, I mean, physicality is definitely part of the play style. I've enjoyed, watching the tape of San Francisco, and obviously, our whole football team is gearing up for this contest. But yeah, Micah is an extremely physical football player. It'll be great to get him back out there. I'm hoping the time away has served him well. But yeah, his physicality to play both on the line and off the line, and particularly as a pressure player too, is definitely something that we feel can be impactful Sunday.
Mike, we talked with John Fossil on Monday about when you know that, I guess, faith in a kicker, and also when you know it's time for a kicker's career's over, or when it's time to hang it up. What do you see in Greg that continues to give you faith in him? And also, in your career, how have you sort of gauged when to trust kickers and what makes that difference?
Well, I think just like anything in this game, we all have experiences, and that's part of why, we all have a role here in the football operations. When I look at Greg, I think Greg has a lot left as far as your question. He's very talented, so obviously we clearly understand what the numbers say, but when I look at Greg, I've had some personal experiences in the past that I definitely draw from. I had an experience probably early in my career. And frankly, the first year we had a young man by the name of John Ryan, an excellent punter, came to us from Canada. Punted for us in Green Bay, I think 2 years. There was a difference of opinion in the building on him, and frankly, we gave up on him way too soon. And John went on to have a very successful career in Seattle. So that was my personal experience as a young head coach, watching a decision made that was clearly premature, and where all the facts and really didn't, all the intangibles probably could have been better evaluated. So that that's an experience that I've always drawn from, and then frankly went through a very similar situation with Mason Crosby. I want to say it was about 2013, 12, somewhere in there. And Mason, very, very talented kicker, was going through a really, really rough year. And I used to get tired of Troy Aikman asking me every week in the production meetings why we haven't made a change. It was one of those hot topics weekly, and at the end of the day, you believe in the process, you believe in their mental preparation, you believe in their physical preparation, and stayed the course. And if I recall, the following year, Mason probably had his best year to date. So. And with that, and I look at Greg's particular situation, there's other factors involved that you take into account. We work together every day. I mean, I believe in him. I know John believes in him. Everybody believes in him. And, and the other part of it, too, is, this is a this is a teammate that's extremely respected in the locker room, and that's part of it too. So everybody recognizes his talent, and everybody recognizes the opportunity he's going to give us to win games clearly in this playoff run, because it's a big part of winning these type of football games. So I believe in him. I believe in the process, and that's why we're standing steadfast the way we are.
What can y'all as coaches do, if anything, psychologically to help him get his mind right for the game?
Well, I mean, it's just like anything. There's a mental mechanics that go into this, and some are personal to the individual, particularly based off of your role and what position you play. I'm obviously in charge of the big picture team, mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical outlines, and then everybody, the coaches and players within the structure, do what they need to do to go through your preparation on a weekly basis, but ultimately, prepare to have a peak performance on Sunday. So I believe in that process, the definition and the structure, and the expertise of what every player brings to the table. I mean, these are professional athletes that have put a tremendous amount of time, both personally and professionally, here at work together. So that's all tied together. I mean, you can't lose sight of that. I mean, I understand why. I understand why I'm answering the question, but I understand clearly on the direction and the process that we're going through to get to where we need to get to.
Mike, when you get into these playoff situations where everything's heightened, do you kind of have to remind guys you don't have to be Superman here? Just do what you've done? Or do players have to fight that tendency to think they have to do more when it gets to the postseason?
Excellent point. I think it's something that you have to recognize anytime there's a change in what's in front of you. It was part of the messaging Monday and today in the team meeting. We don't need a bunch of behavior change in our training operation. It's important, everybody understands their role today, and make sure that, particularly, all the way down to the look teams. So actually spend a little extra time on the look teams today to make sure we're getting the exact look that everybody needs today on the practice field. The most important thing we do every day that we're together is practice. So, and everybody does it, and everybody draws cards. Everybody has a similar process, but it's it's the detail, the presentation, the communication. It's always the little things. So just really heighten the awareness of the details, and but the same day there's a rhythm, there's a pace, clear expectation, there's a routine to how we prepare for a game. So it's important for us to stay on that, laugh a little bit more, to keep the energy up, and I felt like it was definitely reflected in the meetings this morning. But yeah, we're not going to change. We're not here to all of a sudden change the way we go about getting ready for a game. So we're excited about the opponent we're playing. I'm just very impressed with them on film, and it's playoff football, so that's the way it always has been. So, but at the end of the day, our guys really dialed into the install phase of today and tomorrow, and but so far so good.
And what are your thoughts on Bosa? Is he him and brothers similar players? Like how do you read him, and how important is he to their
Well,
team?
I mean, obviously a great player, and and I think in the way they play, and the primary importance of the defensive line to their scheme, and they're very well coached. It's a scheme that have competed against a lot throughout my time in Detroit. So and obviously Nick is a force. I mean, there's only one number you need to look at, and it's his quarterback hits. So I mean, he's definitely a pressure player, and and it all starts up front, defensively for those guys.
Obviously, Mike, you've seen quarterbacks play for iconic franchises and deal with the pressures of that. How does Dak handle the weight on trying to lead you guys to your ultimate goal?
I think one of Dak's gifts is he's the same man every single day. I mean, his preparation never wavers. He was in here yesterday doing some personal work, fundamentally. So he's got a plan all the time. So he's extremely consistent, and really just needs to adhere to that. I think the most important, not only for Dak, for all of our guys, is just be who you are, and we just want to be the best. We want the best you this week, and that's what we're working towards. But yeah, Dak's approach is I don't see any change at all. Just being around the meetings this morning, so that's clearly a strength of his.
Is curse later in the week is because of the hammy, or is it more of the COVID, a little bit of both?
Well, yeah, it's just a COVID return. Yeah, just a COVID return. So until we actually get him in here and see exactly where he is, and just a testing process to get back in.
Are you guys practicing indoors or outdoors today? And what goes into that decision?
We're gonna start. We're gonna do the first half. We're gonna do all of our. We'll do the quarterback school inside like we always have, but we'll do the stretch and the special teams and the team fundamentals and the group and the O&D fundamentals segment. Which I call the early part of practice. We'll do that outside, and then we'll transition inside for the teamwork. So we're obviously playing indoors this week. So I want to do the team periods, inside at the Ford Center.
And Dalton obviously has had a very productive season from a receiver standpoint, but how would you assess him as a blocker, and with Kittle on the field Sunday as well? How difficult is that dynamic of someone who's productive as a receiver, but also can be an inline wide tight end and be a plus player in the run game?
Well, you must know something I don't know. I didn't see any defensive personnel groups that Dalton's going to be blocking Kittle, but it's kidding, Mike. But I think Dalton's done a really good job. I think just like anything, you look at the matchups. They play the wide nine techniques. And obviously can stress you inside too. So I think clearly when you're dealing with some of these bigger defensive linemen, the technique and that Dalton the tight ends need to use is definitely something of a priority, each and every week, and I think we've improved there. And I think Kettle's an excellent player too. I think his ability, obviously, to block, and they do a lot of formation, do a lot of, the intricacies to really try to stress your C gap, assignment and. Attack your edge setting component of your defense. He definitely does an excellent job of that, and really I think he's exceptional with yards after catch. So he's very physical player, and really I think as a whole I think their offense does an excellent job of that. You get the ball in space. All of them. The whole perimeter do an excellent job of getting after it and try to. I think they're number one in the league in that area, frankly.
You and Dan and Kyle have been head coaches in the Super Bowl. Do you believe in sort of the coaching fraternity of shared experiences when you've got something like that you have in common?
Well, yeah, I think anytime you have a common experience, there may be some value to it. I think clearly, it's been going on really since Dan has been here. I mean, you have a check and balance system in place. I mean, there's things. Dan and I were in a conversation this morning about the stay program. We just because with the social distancing, we haven't been able to do it. So there's always from the littlest thing of a schedule change to play calling, officiating. Just the approaches. So yeah, I think there's clearly a check and balance in place when you have. That individual in house. Obviously Dan and Kyle have their personal experience in the Super Bowl, but I think when you look at how individuals do game plan, everybody game plans a little differently. So whether it's Dan or whether it's Kellen, whether it's John Fossil, and there's a lot more conversation in today's NFL between coaches, particularly the younger generation, than I experienced in the earlier days. So I don't think there's a lot of procedural secrets. I think that's something that you need to always be aware of. Thought process is important because thought process does, give you the formula and the path to how individuals make decisions. But at the end of the day, it always comes back to you. It always comes back to what you believe in, really what you believe in with your players, and that's that's the way we'll do it, and that's the way we'll line up Sunday.
I know you had high hopes with Dan coming in here and what he could do. How has he maybe even exceeded that with what he's done on your staff and with your defense?
I think the personal part of it, because I've always known Dan from across the field, so just getting to know him personally and just the daily interaction is something that I know I've enjoyed. The football part of it. comes very natural to him. So I mean, and I think he's he's doing exactly what needed to be done here, and and I think that really the connection with his staff, one of the hardest jobs of a coordinator, and I think any young coordinator, and just the conversation having it with Kellen the last 2 years, the hardest part of being a coordinator is really managing the assistant coaches. I think if you would ask other head coaches or other coordinators that done a long time in this league, I would think they would echo that, maybe privately, but it's part of the challenge that really doesn't ever come up, because you're at the end of the day you're judged based off of your offense or defensive or special team numbers. So,
Mike, you've won both of your postseason games at AT&T Stadium. I was just wondering if you have any routines or any superstitions this time of year.
I do not. I try to be very consistent. I try to go to the stadium the same time before the game, and so I have a routine that I go through with worksheets and call sheets. It's pretty much something that I've done since I became a coordinator in 2000. So it's something my routine over the last 20 years is very, very similar. So I just stay to that.
And that stays the same for regular season and postseason games?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Nui.
Mike, the 49ers have only allowed one team to rush for 100 yards in their last 9 games. Is there a number of attempts you'd like to get in this game, and how do you get to that 100-yard mark as a football team Sunday?
Well, I mean, you always have a general idea how you want to run the ball for sure, and definitely attempts is part of it. But I think you just gotta hopefully the other negative variables don't get in the way. But yeah, I mean, definitely you like to get out there and run the ball north of 30 attempts. I think is what probably any good run team would like to get to. When you look at the way the teams are built, you look at the time of possessions of both teams. This is a game that potentially will be around 9 series. So we obviously would like to have the ball more than that, just because of the way we're built, offensively. But those are the things you look at statistically, and they're part of your outlook. But at the end of the day, a healthy game plan, a strong menu of plays gives you the ability to play any game that you're getting ready to get into, because the reality of it is how you think you're going to play and exactly how the game's going to go on Sunday. There's going to be some difference to that. There'll be some adversity. It always comes. So how it comes, and more importantly, how you get through it and get on to the next play and the next opportunity is what's most important. So I think you always have a path that you want to ride, but I think particularly, when you have a team that has the capabilities of playing complementary football, you got to make sure you have the right size volume and menu of plays to get it done. So, and that's really our mindset in the game plan process. We want to make sure that we're do whatever it takes to win the game, and that's the bottom line.
And Mike, with obviously people calling for your coordinators to interview, what are the chances that Joe Witt and Ben could move up in terms of being your next coordinators as far as in-house candidates?
Well, I think it's I think it's very deserving with what's going on with Dan and Kellen. You love to see that for your assistants, but I really think the time right now is to beat San Francisco, and that's really what our focus is. Joe Witt, I think we got a lot of excellent coaches. I think the reflection of our success as a football team is obviously on our players, but it's also on our coaches. I mean, this is a tremendous coaching staff. I love the way it's built, top to bottom. From an experience to the young guys. So I think we have a very healthy connection there, and I think we'll clearly, as time moves forward, you'll see a number of our guys having opportunities. Good.
Mike, look at San Francisco's run game. Is it different in scheme and commitment than maybe other teams you faced this year, and just any particular challenges with it that you haven't necessarily gone against this year?
Oh, that's definitely high on the list as far as the way they stretch it scheme-wise. I mean, the shifts in emotions the ability to, to play. I talked a little bit about this Monday. Their 21 personnel, their ability to play two-back offense, two-back concepts, and also get to the one-back concepts and even get into the empty zero-back concepts too. So I think anytime you can exercise, all three, offenses, whether and also to run it to a two-man surface, three-man surface, four-man surface. So they present all those challenges for you, and what that does, it really, you got to make sure your gap fits are right. And and they're definitely going to stress our force and our edges, and that's where our focus is. Yeah, I think those guys do an outstanding job of stressing you, with their formations, their shifts and motions, and utilization. From a multiplicity standpoint, in a number of personnel groups.
How has Neville Gallimore played since he's come back, and talk about the importance of that defensive tackle rotation?
Well, the rotation up front's been great for. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off there.
Yeah, just talk about the importance of that defensive tackle rotation, meeting the challenge of the run game, and certainly Neville Gallimore.
Yeah, definitely. I think they have the ability to go between 8 and 10 defensive linemen a game. Shows you clearly what we think of our depth in Neville inside. I think as he's, we had him on a pitch count there when he first came back, and I think clearly as he's played more, he's been more and more comfortable. So he's clearly back. I think it was the right way, the smart way to go in bringing him back on that pitch count. So, but yeah, it's he has a unique ability. He's so powerful and explosive, but is a vertical penetrator. I think is when he's at his best. And I really like the rotation that we have with those guys inside and outside too. So I think it's been a big part of our success.
Go ahead, Todd.
Mike, when you look at what Trayvon's been able to do this season, and you've talked about the practice that he had his rookie year and the production that he's had, what changes for him now? Like is there almost an expectation that he's going to be able to do this all the time? That you look at it and say, okay, yeah, get us a pick every week.
Well, I mean, he's definitely created a standard, and I think it's obviously, intercepting the balls is the ultimate, for a defensive back. But it's definitely, a standard of playing coverage and PBUs and everything else that goes through it. So, yeah, I think just really detailing all aspects of his work and continue to. But yeah, I mean, he's aggressive with his anticipation and his awareness. We definitely could see that from day one, and he's got uncanny ball skills and ability to track the football. So, yeah, but I think he's clearly setting a standard not only for himself, but with that comes an expectation, and have great confidence that he'll uphold that.
And I think we'll finish here with Michael.
When Kyle and his offense are trying to get so much information pre-snap with their motions and the sort, as a defense, is there anything that you can do to not give them information or confuse their intended operation?
You working for the 49ers this week? I mean, I don't like both your questions. My goodness, I'm kidding. But that's what we're working on. I mean, it's definitely, we don't. I think it's important to have a proactive adjustment plan to any shift, any motion. I think like anything, you look for patterns and tendencies to make sure what's their why. And sometimes, you can see, a formation shift and a variation really maybe setting up the next play action pass. So that's the why. So I think, just be able to anticipate, this is the chess match has higher odds, there's higher stakes involved this time of year, and we understand that. And but yeah, everything's done with a purpose, and we recognize that. But in our purpose and our response will act quickly and accordingly. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.